It's been an interesting journey. Cindy and I were high school sweethearts. I was teaching coaching, and then we went a career path of getting into direct sales. We were fortunate enough to be top 10 in a very successful company, but they didn't keep up with the products and it went away. We said, if we ever do this again, we're gonna own the company. We want control of the destiny. Well, I grew up in Holt, Michigan, which is just outside Lansing, which makes me a Michigan State Spartan for life. I think my family is competitive. My dad, my mom, I didn't notice it as much growing up. I didn't realize it, but I see mom was always striving to be better. I see dad, while he was working at GM, he was going to night school. He was always improving himself. I do think some of the drive comes from life experiences, but I think it also comes from people around you. I love sports, I love basketball, and went to a big school. There'd be 100 people going out for the team, and they'd keep 20. And yeah, I got cut in 7th and 8th grade, and I remember at that time thinking it was the biggest thing in my life. I was praying, if I could just make the team. And I think that definitely gave drive. I call it sometimes the underdog mentality, felt like I was the underdog. The pay was tough. We were trying to make extra money. Our desire, and Cindy loves this, was to be at home with the kids.
Mark was teaching and coaching, so that really meant he left at 7 in the morning and he got home at about 8 at night. So literally our kids, when they wanted to see Mark during the week, we called them gym rats, because I'd drop one off and they'd get to hang out in the gym with Dad. Now they loved that. It was, he was coaching, but they got that daddy time. So I wouldn't say necessarily that was tough, but that was our reality. Going to the grocery store, we had $40 a month. We literally valued me being able to stay home, and Mark totally supported that. The Lord always provided. My dad was a hunter and fished, and he'd fill our freezer with that type of thing. Mark's parents would go when it was the canned food sale in the fall and load us up with canned goods, and it just felt like God provided everything we needed and more. I was a master at garage sales, and it literally looked like we were buying brand new clothes. Toys kids don't use because they've got so many. Clean them up a little bit. Our kids did not know that Fisher-Price came in a box. They thought it just came in a bag. What they got was a mom who got to stay home.
My girls would say, hey, Daddy, can we help so-and-so? Somebody needed a winter coat in the winter. I love that generosity. I love that. But inside I'm thinking, they have no idea that we're trying to afford theirs. And, I think life's like that. We would have a plan. I'd buy an old house at the beginning of the summer. Teachers, we had the summers off. We would fix it up and sell it at the end of summer and make the money. And it seemed like it'd always just be enough money to pay off the credit cards. So we'd pay off the credit cards, and then like the next month, a car would quit working or need something big, and you'd be like, oh my goodness, we just got out, now you gotta put something else on. It was always that rhythm, that grind. I think a lot of people are in that rhythm. You're fighting always just keep your head above water. One of the reasons I love the industry so much is it changed our life. And I say ours, Cindy and I. And if it wasn't for Dad, I probably wouldn't have listened, because, we had 2 games a week going, Tuesday, Fridays, involved in the kids' life, involved in church. And I honestly thought we had no time. But we listened and we're like, wow, what if we could do this? If we could make just $500 a month, it could really help us in our budget. And so I got in to make $500 a month. I think that 1 day a week is what got us off the ground. If I knew the final result, we would have done a lot more than 1 day a week. But we committed to get started, and we made that commitment. We held each other accountable, and that's really, I think, what got us going. Otherwise, there would have always been something that came up. There had always been an excuse, and we would have never really given it the opportunity or the chance for it to work for us.
In the former company that I was with, there was a gentleman and his wife that were top 10 money earners. And I heard a lot about them, about their integrity, about their honesty. And when that company was starting to go backwards, they were offered the ability to continue to market and say great things about the company, even would get a little bonus if they would go around the country saying that. You know what? They were the only leadership that didn't do it. That spoke volumes to me. That would be somebody that potentially we could partner with that could help bring this product to market.
The wrap was introduced to me by Pam Sauter, and she called and just said, hey, we got a tremendous product, we think, that could really grow.
I'm in Virginia, Mark and Cindy are in Michigan. They listened, and for some reason, they came to Virginia.
We tried the product, and that's when I met Luis Mijares. Luis has become a lifetime friend, just a great guy. They had sent up some product to try. Cindy and I put it on. Cindy got results right away. I watched Cindy get real excited, and she called her best friend and said, hey, this thing really works. And she hung up, and a few minutes later, her friend called right back and said, hey, do they have something for the chin? Bring some home. This is what networking is supposed to be. Word of mouth, and people are excited.
When you first get started, you're wondering, what do you call your company? What's a cool name? What would stand out? Well, everywhere I went, I remember my first conversation with Luis was, well, if it works, well, if that really works, if that works, I'll get it. If that works, I'll take a truckload of that. So why don't we call it what it does? It works. And that's how we came up with the name. Doug,
CFO at the time, he was working a full-time job and then leaving the job to come work for us. He'd get to the office about 4 and work to 9:30, and he'd come on weekends. And he did that. I was thinking that was a year or two, and the other day he told me that was the first 6 years.
Mark and I taught school together, known Mark for about 30 years. Mark recruited me into XL, telecommunications, back in the early 90s. That was my first taste of network marketing. You know, he's got vision that the rest of us don't see until he gives it. And even then, a lot of times we don't believe it till it starts happening. He won't quit. He won't give up. He hates to lose.
Debt-free has been such a big part of our lives, and one thing I used to always say is you sleep better in a house that's paid for. When your stress is, you know, how do I make that payment? Maybe you buy a car that you just love it, but it's a bigger payment you really can afford in your budget, and it's just stressful. And we've learned over time, you know, when we can pay something off, we've learned to be very patient. You know, happen when it's supposed to. And even when we brought it into the company and we started the good bonuses, get out of debt. I had some people in the industry tell me that'll never work, it's not sexy. We really thought about it, and then we went, all right, we're gonna do it anyway. People that had a lot of debt, they were struggling and in trouble. I think it took pressure off people to get that debt gone. And we got to actually grow through that period because we didn't have that pressure. Sometimes the world may say that's not normal, being debt-free, but I like our company not being normal. We get to play by our own rules, and I think debt-free gives you a freedom that somebody else isn't calling the shots for your life.
You know, it's like when somebody has a lot of debt and they lose their job and they don't have even 1 month saved up to be able to make that mortgage payment the next month. We just want to help people think about those things ahead of time so that when those things happen, because they are going to happen, they're just free to not have all of that stress on them too. So to us, it's just a philosophy that's honestly biblical, and it works.
I went to the DSN event. I'd been being asked to come many years, and I'd never gone. And I thought, you know what, it's time I find out what this is about. Went to the event and learned the top 100 that you needed 100 million was about the bottom number. They had the event that night, giving away the awards, and I was standing in the back, and I felt like it was basketball over again, or when I first started in the business. You know, I'm kind of sitting in the back and kind of cross my arms, and I'm watching all these companies go across stage, and I'm thinking, okay, next year, I'm not gonna be in the back of the room.
We were at this owner executive conference in Dallas, Texas, and I remember it's the top 100 celebrations, the ones that have been around 50 years, and I'm in the back of the room going, you know what, this is ridiculous. Why am I not up in the front of the room? And I just look over, and I see this ravishing looking guy. And I walked over and I said, you don't like being in the back of the room, do you? And he just didn't miss a beat. He goes, nope, and I'll be at the front of the room soon. And he said, my name is Mark Pentecost. And I said, hi, my name is Mike Patello. I said, who knows, maybe we'll be up there together.
Some of what I enjoy in life is something might be good, but you want great. And then when you want legendary, and I call that a whole nother level. I want to live life a whole nother level. And Mike jumped right into that. It's like, let's do it. That year, we'd done 40 million, and we put a goal, one team, one mission, 100 million.
Unfortunately, we did not hit 100 million in the next 12 months.
That's true. We did it in 7 months.
We did it in 7 months, and we ended up doing over 200 million that next year.
We've gone slow to now go fast. You know, people will come in the office and say, how many years old are you? How come we didn't hear of you? And we built organic, and we built so we could under-promise and over-deliver. And a lot of people do it the opposite. I believe our future, international, will be amazing and such an opportunity for so many people. And what we both enjoy greatly is changing people's lives, and that's what we get to do.
Central Time 3930 Papa, this is for a full stop.
That's 30 Papa, Roger. Extend down. You can be number 2 to the airport.
Sit down, wind will be number 2, 3930 Papa.
Blue Streak 5334, traffic 1 o'clock, 3 miles. Cessna, in right close traffic to runway 4. You'll see him passing from right to left.
Our move to Florida was a combination of things. I realized in the winter people really didn't want to visit the corporate office in Michigan. They weren't as fond of snow as those that grew up around it in the cold. So we started looking for a destination place, somewhere that people wanted to come visit. It was a vacation. You got to come see the office, meet the team, but also really experience landscapes and just time that you could dream a little bit. We bought the golf course to entertain and run our first meetings for It Works. We went from 35 to, I think, a little over 800. We outgrew it, had to bring a tent in, put it out on the practice range, and that's what led to Green Carpets. You know, I think we had 8,000 at the convention center right here by the corporate office. I think It Works. Everything we've done is the lead up to now. But the nice thing is you can watch what we've done to know who we are. We're always working as a team to how do we even make it better. We just bring people, they're doing great in the business, and again, we want to inspire them that maybe their first dream was pay the house off, maybe it was get rid of all their credit cards, but now how can you inspire more people? You go after something, you go hard. You know, you want it to be a straight line in life, but it's not. You get some success and people say you're so lucky, but lucky is grit, lucky is heart. I think people don't realize, they see where we're at today, they see the office, they see the energy, but there was a time that Doug called me in, and we'd never had a serious talk like this, but Doug called me in and he said, Mark, I'm taking off the CFO hat and I'm putting on the friend hat. He said, how long do I let you keep putting the money into this? He said, this could ruin you. We had the great wrap shortage. You know, we try to make light of some of this stuff, but at the time it was painful. I mean, here we're on this wanting to become more successful, grow sales, and then we start growing so fast we ran out of wraps. We called it the great wrap shortage, and we turned it into a positive, and we turned it into better get in line and order now, because they're just going like hotcakes. We'd moved to Florida, and I was positioning for the next run. We knew our vision, where we wanted to go in sales. When we had the IT failure, you know, it wasn't our fault. We invested in a great company, and they let us down. You know, it took like a year to migrate, write all the code, get us over, and during that period of time, they sold some shares, sold out to an equity company. It wasn't the same company. We couldn't take orders, we couldn't sign up people. Oh, it was painful, you know, and about broke some of our people. I'll never forget, you know, we had to have talks. We had to say, man, we can't be in the room of the door shut. We got to go out and lead. And what is that? That's communicating. That's realizing we're in this together. But there were people that's like, we'll battle this, we got it. And we came out stronger. And, you know, when I say our team is battle tested, there's nothing we haven't seen. You know, you have a dream and you're patient and just let God kind of direct where you're at. It's amazing what can happen. So many of us fall in love with the industry of how you really get to help people. And Cammie, she had landed and realized she loved coaching and teaching, but wanted to be home with him. She started working, signed up, paid the money for a kit. People chuckle at that I make all the kids, you know. When you're the coach's daughter, you're always the hardest on them. Same with a business. So she paid for her kit, started like everybody else. She had that special it factor in the field. She built all the way to Black Diamond. She was first Black Diamond in our company. She's a competitor and she's great with people. It was rewarding to see that, her hunger and competitiveness. Just really excited now as she's come over on the corporate side to take her people skills and what she learned being in the field. You know, there's nothing more valuable coming on to corporate and knowing the battles that the field has every day and learning to grow. She had a big impact on It Works.
Her nurturing goes way beyond her own children. She just wants to help anybody and everybody that wants to help themselves. And she sees in people things that they don't see for a long time and helps bring that out of them. So she really has a gift.
When my parents said they were starting It Works, I remember just being over the moon excited for them, and I couldn't wait to see all the lives that they would change, because that's what they do, they change lives. I had learned just enough from my parents to realize that anything was possible if I put my mind to it. When I started It Works, I had never done anything like this before. I think the only sales experience I'd ever had was a lemonade stand or two and selling Girl Scout cookies in middle school and elementary school. And so I wouldn't say that's this massive sales resume by any means that anybody would get thrilled about, but I had a why. I had a reason that I needed this to work for me. I needed something that would give me the flexibility and yet the kind of income to live the life I wanted to provide for my kids. And that's what It Works did for me. And it gave me that platform with a vehicle that I could use the gifts that I was given to go out and to make it happen. And so I am still teaching and coaching every day. I'm just doing it on a different platform. I thought it was gonna be in a traditional classroom, and yet God knew all along it was gonna be on this platform of direct sales, you know, just networking, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
You know, I get to talk about Kyler, and Kyler had an interesting journey with It Works. We were starting to go through real growth mode, and Kyler was working in Washington, D.C. He just got out of college. He was working pre-law, and I called him and said, Kyler, I really need help, and would love if you'd come back and work for us. So he did. So he's working for me, helping me get organized. And I thought it was going really well. And one day Kyler came in and said, Dad, I got to talk to you. And I said, okay. And he said, I can't keep doing this. And I was like, what? Well, I thought we were getting along so good. And he said, well, I'm watching what Cammie's doing. I want to go work in the field. And Kyler always had a big heart, wanted to help people. You know, he's got a servant heart to really help. And Kyler was the first single guy, really broke the barrier there, showing a guy can do this. It was mostly ladies out there. And Kyler went to Ambassador and had, you know, just great success. And, you know, each of my kids are different. I always, when I think of Kyler, I think of a big heart.
I joined It Works 2 times before I was successful joining my 3rd time. The amount of work that you have to do to just be at a reasonably paid job with reasonable benefits is very difficult in the world today. I was staring in the face at my job, $300,000 in debt by going through a graduate program and coming out and not knowing if I would even have a job. It was in that moment that I just couldn't pull the trigger, because that amount of debt and that amount of insecurity was not something I wanted to choose yet. It was 2 years and I was making more than I would have been able to make with the graduate program I was looking at. And great choice. I think it's one of those God moments where he put me in the better place.
Kinsey absolutely has a lane that she is just passionate about helping those people that a lot of people are a little bit too intimidated to help, a little fearful to help, and she gets right in the trenches. And so she absolutely has always been a part of organizations that are helping children who've really had hard paths and who've made wrong choices, and she just wants to love on them and kind of bring them into the fold and really help them turn their life around. And then she worked with Sail of Freedom. That's how we got to know them. And she literally became part of writing legislation, not just so that we could rescue a few girls, but to literally change the laws. She's a great addition to the team with her passion, with her skills, with her giftedness, and she's just making It Works a better place.
When I was 13 years old, I remember reading a book called Princess, and it was about a princess who was enslaved. And I just remember I always wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. I remember my earliest memories were some of the DTs calling and saying, "We want to give back, we see you giving back," you know, and they'd come in at that time to our office to pick up their orders, and they would see we were doing a drive or something, and they'd say, "The field wants to give back," and I can remember them begging for a way they could just give $1 or $2, and they said, imagine if all of us distributors could give just something so small so that we could touch so many lives.
you know, I guess everyone has valleys and mountaintops, and you get that call, and you know, they use the cancer word, and you don't know what to do with it.
Dad just pulled Mom and I aside and said, I just got a really weird phone call. And he said, you know, our doctor thinks I have cancer. And he found it on a CAT scan, and he's pretty certain. And he said, I don't really know what it means. And then, you know, we went and we did a champagne toast. And I think it's very interesting to me to look back, because I'm always like, man, the moment I heard Dad had cancer, didn't even have time to process that. But then I thought, the moment that Dad found out he had cancer, I mean, 15 minutes later, he didn't hesitate for a moment putting other people's dreams and lives and businesses first. Then it was, you know, on stage in front of thousands, and we finished that event, and then we headed home. It was the first moment I had alone with myself, and it just caught up to me what Dad had said, and I just, you know, I lost it. I started crying, and I couldn't stop crying.
I get to my mom and dad's house. I walked in and they were just kind of sitting around, and I was like, oh, this does not look good. And I guess I thought if we ever heard that one of my parents was diagnosed with cancer, I just didn't see it being my dad. He's so active. It's an eye-opener. You know, I think so many times we're going about life and just, we take so many things for granted, to be honest. I think that's just when I realized whatever role I need to play to help It Works continue to be the best company that's out there, I wanted to play that role.
I can remember the first time I went to Dublin, and I fell in love with international, and I've always loved traveling. I've always loved cultures. You know, I can remember when I found out that Dad had cancer, and I had to go live in another country while he was at home sick. But I knew it lit my dad up to hear how his family was doing. And by his family, I mean our distributors. And so to know that as a family member, I could step in and be an extension of Dad while he was sick and let them know, we're not going anywhere. We're only going to take this to the next level.
My mom and dad sat my sister, my brother, and I down. Basically, in a nutshell, said, It Works has been our dream. It was something we started, but it doesn't have to be yours. And so, what do you guys want? And all of us looked at each other, and unanimously, without skipping a beat, we were like, this is our family company, and the people in It Works are our family, and we'll do whatever it takes. I mean, my sister moved to Ireland to work on the international side of things. My brother literally stopped every aspect of his life, and thank goodness he's a part of the business and had great residual income. Obviously, being in the field for 10 years and training and giving presentations and coaching and compensation plan and all the details that come with the field, that's where my passion is. If I can come in and help corporate continue to provide cutting edge training tools, I can continue to be a voice for the field on the inside of corporate, that's what I wanted to do.
You know, some people on our team were battling it, and we met them and hugged them and told them we were praying for them, and I'm thinking, well, they don't know inside, you know, what we're start the battle, and I really didn't know what the battle was. And
It's interesting to be alongside someone fighting that fight. You're fighting a fight, you don't know what the end has in store. And doctors, you know, we visited the best in the world, but they all had different opinions, and it left you more confused than when you started.
all of us go through things, you know, and you gotta have grit and heart. It's easier to talk about now, it wasn't easy in it. You know, we just cut the ribbon on a new research facility at Moffitt in Tampa. And you know, what's exciting for me is they wouldn't use a cure word. And now they're saying, let's get a cure, let's get a cure. You know, I usually don't talk like this, but cancer sucks. You know, maybe going through that was to help others battle, and maybe giving us because it became so personal, of funding some research, and we're gonna find cures for all this, and people out there. And so no matter what people are going through, you know, we live with our faith. We know God's bigger than anything we got. I always love Rocky Slice. Stallone sent me a boxing glove, and it said, stay on the offense, keep punching. And I think in life, that's what we got to do. Whatever attacks us, we've got to get up and keep punching.
Whatever your why is,
changing your family's history, taking more trips, having no debt. Those are things that we stand on. You know, we've been here since 2001, and you can see that we pay on time. You'll see who we are, and we don't change. If you don't like a good sense of humor, might not be the place. I'm always laughing. I have fun with a purpose. I have fun to keep me focused, but that we can keep going higher as a company.
What we've done in the last few years is set ourselves up to be ahead of the trends, to be ready. So we've got this dynamic team now that is able to produce products so quickly, so fast in all of our markets. And people know that they can trust us because we do have a brand where people know we're going to give you the best of the best. You know, we want to be that company when people think of nutrition and when they think of beauty, and lifestyle, and how to live, they're going to think of It Works. They're going to know we're their go-to company for the products that are going to get them the way they want to look and feel, and they'll achieve all of that with our company.
For the first 15 years, we're out as the wrap company. That crazy wrap thing. Everywhere we went, oh, you got the wrap. And that's what we were known for and still are today. However, we realized we need to evolve. We need to grow. What products can we bring in that will enhance the results of the wrap? Now we are known as the It Company.
I think so many times that we dreamed, and it just keeps growing. We didn't sit down 15 years and go, hey, run a company, then we'll buy a ranch and an island. I mean, that was so far-fetched out of our mind. We were just thinking of paying our bills. And so when we say dreamer or visionary, to me, there's just something in me that wanted more. We built this farmhouse in the country, and we thought that was going to be our final house. And it wasn't soon after that we really started moving in our first company. And, you know, I never thought after this that there'd be an island. 3 years we looked at that thing. And it was a private island that Thomas Edison, Charles Burgess had been on. I mean, such great minds. I go out there just see if any rubs off on me. I'll come out of the clubhouse and there'll be a group sitting looking over the pool and they're sunning and laughing and talking, and one will go, he was a school teacher? I'm not dreaming big enough. And I'm like, boom, we got him. That's what we want, is people to realize they're made for so much more. And it's exciting to change lives, be able to be in a position to do that. Dreaming is a muscle. It builds the more you use it. And I think a lot of you are gonna start thinking about that. Are you dreaming big enough? And I watch a lot of people, we call it a dream board. And the first time I encourage them to make a dream board, things you'd like to do, they go small because the world beats up on you. And for a lot of people, they put their toe in the water and it's cold and they don't dream bigger. But what happens is they start checking off those dreams. Now we call it the redream. Now they're like, wait a minute, I want a do-over. And now they go big. So wherever you're at, start dreaming. And as you continue to go, it'll change. And then all of a sudden, maybe they'll call you a dreamer. But it's staying in the game, having a goal, having a why. And you know, you're gonna fall, but fall forward. Fall forward, get back up, and you keep on going. I think that's the biggest thing, our success is grit, heart. It's hard to beat someone if they never quit. And saying, one more day is all I need. I'm gonna make this happen. Here's the worst thing, is you not trying when you have so much more in you. And you could have changed the world so much. You could have done so much more. I mean, the things that Cindy and I get to do now with supporting charities, with helping causes that are dear to both of us, it's a great feeling to, somebody says, could you help us here? And you say, we'll just write the whole check. It's not bragging, it fills you up, it fills your heart up to help others. You know, you're hoping if you were in that situation, somebody'd reach out and help you. So I think sometimes when people are like, oh, you want to be all that? And it's like, you don't understand. The world says this is normal, stay here. God says I gave you so many. It's like burying the talents. You're gonna bury it in the ground, or you're gonna use them. And if you use them right, they're gonna give you more. And I'm like, all right, bring it on. I'll keep giving. This is gonna be fun. If you keep getting blessed, you keep being a blessing, why wouldn't you keep growing and helping others? Decisions we made, blessings we've gotten, we've changed our family history forever. And what I'm excited about that, not is to say, look at us, but to say, wow, we can be world changers. We truly can.